It's the beginning of the year, and while some of us are a bit more sensible and spending time indoors while we can, I'm out here in the allotment garden and I'm having a little bit of a look around and thinking about things that I want to do this year. Now, whether you're spending time outdoors like I am, or you're inside sketching ideas, thinking about things in your head, or browsing through seed catalogs, I know that you're on the way to planning your garden as well. I'm Tanya from Lovely Greens, and I actually have two gardens. The allotment garden that you see behind me is where I grow a lot of vegetables like potatoes and soft fruit, garlic, things that can really stay out in the weather. I also have a home garden, and I've been developing that over the past year. We moved in September of 2018, and I've put in a lot of features, and I've started growing my very first crops at home. In this video, I'm going to take you through costs though. The cost of setting up a new garden or developing the one that you have. And it can be quite pricey, and it can be really inexpensive, just depending on your outlook, how much work you want to put into it, and how long you have as well. I have an entire video dedicated to how I created the allotment garden. I created that last year. If you want to see year by year, project by project, things that I did to create it, go over and have a watch of that video. As far as costs are concerned, it was very minimal compared to the home garden. And the wood that I used was reclaimed from my old plot. And when I initially bought that wood, it was from a local sawmill, and it was all just offcuts. So it's a pound a piece of wood, a pound a plank basically. I've got plants there that I've propagated. I've got plants that I've salvaged or saved off of plots that have been abandoned here. A lot of what I do here at the allotment is very frugal gardening. And it's a kind of a true to type allotment style garden. Just saving money, trying to grow some vegetables, and having a bit of fun outdoors. The home garden, on the other hand, is something that I want to create as not only a place to grow homegrown veg, but one day we're going to sell that house, and I want the garden in the back to look nice and to be a selling feature. And I think a lot of us kind of see our homes versus allotments in that way as well. The first thing that I did when we moved into the house was to clean the greenhouse out, get it really spick and span, and then start taking things to the recycle center. So old pots that had been left behind by the previous owner, old trellises and different features that were crumbling, broken, unwanted, or just completely rusty. Had to get rid of all of that. And then I focused on painting the fence to brighten it up, get me out in the garden, give me a little bit of cheer, and my goodness, just putting in 20 pounds worth of paint into that project really livened it up. Even the neighbors next door who could see into the garden said that they were amazed at how much it had changed, that old fence. After that, it was putting in the patio raised bed. I designed it first, I bought the wood. It was a project I did all on my own, and I think for the wood itself it cost 126 pounds. And then for the compost and the manure that I used to fill it, and also the landscaping fabric, it was another 80. It was one of the best things that I did at that point because it gave me an instant place to start planting things like culinary herbs, and it's right by my kitchen door, so I can literally open the door, go out there, and get things when I need them. Other things that I did at the same time were to buy a pressure washer, and I cleaned the paving stones on the patio and everywhere around the house, the drive, everything. And I also purchased some mordant for in between the cracks in the patio stones. And it was the type of stuff that you sweep in and you wet and it solidifies. That was 20 pounds. The pressure washer was 85. moving on from that point, I decided to be really brave and just plonk a rose arbor down right in the middle of the garden. And that arbor itself cost £80, and the 2 David Austin rose plants that I planted on either side cost $35. The next thing to go in were the raised beds. Josh and I built this together. I worked out exactly how much wood again that we needed so that it was no more, no less. The pegs, landscaping fabric, etc. My garden in the back is surrounded by trees, and there are roots growing through the soil everywhere. So not only were the raised beds a practical solution for keeping my soil away from those tree roots, but also they look good too. So I made that decision based on a couple of factors. Now, to put in those raised beds, it cost £246 for the wood itself, and the labor was free. It was Josh and I working, putting those in, and it didn't actually take that long either. So we have all the tools thanks to Josh's trade, and also I've got some tools of my own. If you're going to be building anything in the back garden, that's going to be a completely additional cost. So filling the raised beds, I spent a grand total of £80 on composted horse manure, and it was an unconventional choice, and it was deliberate. When I put in the pea gravel paths, the end result was the paths themselves, but also a mountain of topsoil that's currently breaking down in the back garden. And that is what I'm going to be using to top up all of my raised beds this year. And that was free from that project. So fortunately, I was able to save a bit of money thinking about that. Let's talk about those pea gravel paths though. As you recall, those were a birthday gift to myself last year. And Josh and I went away to Switzerland for a couple of weeks, visited friends, did a bit of trekking. And while we were away, a guy that I know here on the island put in my my pea gravel paths for me. I purchased all the materials and he provided the labor. Now the materials, which include wood for all of the edging, the landscaping fabric to lay down below, screws, and also the pea gravel itself, all of that came to £577, which sounds like a lot, but then you have to account in labor. So it was a full week's worth, so 5 full days of work for this lad, and I paid him £720 in the end. So it goes to show that if you do it yourself and you've got those skills, you can save so much money gardening. If you get people in to do things for you, it's not going to be cost effective if you're trying to grow your own as a self-sufficient type endeavor. It is a labor of love, gardening, in a lot of ways, and that was a special case because it was my birthday and I wanted to treat myself. I probably will not be doing that again, although I do not regret it. It was amazing coming home after an amazing holiday, and they were all done, and I didn't have to do any of that graft. So the grand total for the home garden, which includes the patio raised bed, the pea gravel pathways, the raised beds, and the rose arbor, all of that, and the painting of the fence, comes to about £2,100. And that's a lot of money. And I think that if you're trying to put in just a basic vegetable garden to grow your own, such as my allotment garden, that's going to be way too much. And in that case, go with the way that I've created my own garden here. Frugal, inexpensive, and created as you go rather than all at once. The home garden is a different scenario though. I'm thinking about not only what I want to grow, but also about adding value to our home on the long run. And that's why I've put in all of that money. So There's two different philosophies there's two different ways to go about it, and I'm sure there are many more out there as well. But that's the way that I've created my two gardens, and I hope it will help you in designing and trying to work out what you want to do and how much you want to spend on your own. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, leave your comments and questions down below and I'll get back to you. Bye for now.